Hi luminaries, today we are making these cute woven lips. What you'll need are your lip loom, cotton warp yarn, yarn for the lip color, yarn for the lip line. I'm adding a little bit of gold here, I love that. Scissors, a weaving comb, a needle, could be plastic or metal. I do like working with metal. And then a optional tape. Okay, let's get started. Let me clean up this work area. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your loom along with your warp and tape, and let's get some slack going here. What you're going to do is you're going to, from the back to front, thread the hole on the left side of the loom. So pull about the 2-inch tail and then make a tie. So again, this is a tie, not a knot. So just go one, and usually you could just pull it up and it'll tighten. But what I'll do here is actually, for a lot of you, I love using tape just to tape down tail that actually holds really helps secure, I should say, the yarn as well and keep it taut. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull taut or really, really tight, cross over from that first to second notch. See how that looks? Okay, let's try it again. Over, then go to the opposite notch, down, over, back up to the opposite notch, over, and down. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Go ahead and rewind if you need to see this a little bit clearer. All right, so now that you have done this toward the end, hold down your warp yarn and then cut a 5-inch tail. And then what you'll do is you'll thread this to that last hole and just make a tie through the loop. Then pull upward. Usually this should keep it pretty tight. And again, I'm just going to tape it down. I find this really, really helpful. Also, I just use washi tape because it just comes off really easily and it actually sticks pretty well. Trim the ends if you wish. And now we'll go to the next step. Step 2, weave the lip. I'll be using the term weaving and stitching interchangeably during this step. So first, you'll cut a 4-feet piece of yarn and then thread with your needle, and we're going to do the tabby stitch. Real quickly, what we'll be doing is that we're going to actually stitch from the outside in. So first, we'll do the outline of the lip and continue to weave inward. So at the end, this is what it will look like. Okay, let's get started. What I like to do is just actually start the tabby stitch a few stitches or a few warp from the corner, pull. So again, the tabby stitch is over, under, over, under. Make sure that you pull your tail back and leave about a 3-inch tail. This way you could easily stitch it in and weave it in the back later on when you finish. Okay, so it's over, under, under. Pretty easy to remember. Weaving comb is super handy for the lip loom. Just really helps you, move your yarn, keep it towards the outline. Okay, let me fast forward this part. So the next step is, so when you are weaving this lip, since you're weaving inward, you're going to encounter a part where your stitching is exactly like the stitch above it. So what that means that you're going to need to catch up. So see how I'm actually going under 2 consecutive warp in a row, just like this diagram at the corner. This way you could actually catch the stitch back up. You'll see what I mean as you continue to actually work on the slip. And don't worry, it'll get hidden as you weave and fill in your lip. Okay, fast forwarding here a little bit, and then I'm gonna actually review the catch-up stitch again once more time. So again here, the stitch above is exactly like the stitch below. So what you're gonna do is just go 2 warp underneath. So you're gonna catch up and then continue to weave. Okay, so over, under, using your comb. Okay, so now when your yarn runs out, you're just going to start another one. Again, 4 feet, piece of yarn. What I like to do is actually just start 2 stitches back. So it's going to overlap a little bit, but again, no worries because you're actually just going to fill in the lip and you're not really going to see that. Okay, so over, under, over, under. Weave the lip line. Once you filled in your lips, we can now weave in the line. So what I like to do is take an accent yarn. Anything that's high contrast will look really good. I like using this gold also, so you could actually double up. The gold is really cute, gives you a little bit of glitter. Okay, so I'm going to go 2 to 3 times across for more definition, and real quickly, I just want to make sure I have enough yarn, so I'll just measure out by going across, then trim both yarns so that they're even. Now for the next step, actually, you could do a couple things. You could start weaving your lip line now, or you could actually tuck in your loose end for your lips. I'm actually going to do this one first because I see how many loose tails I have, loose ends. So I'm just going to tuck that in. Oh, I should say weave that in. I'm so sorry. So take a loose end and then just weave that into your lip in the back. You could go 1 or 2. I recommend at least 2. Trim the end. So now some of your ends might be really short. So if it's too short to thread it and then weave, I would actually just weave in and then thread and then pull through. That's actually quite easy. But the solution to this is just make sure that all of your tail is pretty long so it's easy to do. Trim the excess. I'm going to fast forward this part. Okay, now let's thread your needle for the lip line. Working from the back, what I like to do is weave in the lip line from the back and then pull the needle forward. Work gently. Never goes wrong when you work a little bit gently, especially at the beginning. Leave a tail, and then you're going to start the tabby stitch going across. So again, depending on how strong your definition, you might want to go 3 times, but what I like to do is go 2 times and then I'll see what it looks like. Okay, stitch first to the corner, pull through. Whoops. Okay. This piece, the warp thread got a little bit loose, so let me tape it down. Okay, so let's take this to the corner, pull through, and then you're going to work towards the other side. Again, I'll fast forward this part and meet you back for the next step. Okay, now we're all done. So what we'll do here is, again, we're going to weave in the end. Okay, pull through, and then we're going to just cut the excess. You could do this the same for the other side. Okay, let's go to the next step. Remove your lips from the loom. So we're going to take off this warp. This part is actually really fun. So what you're going to do is first untie that first tie. And I like to use the tip of the needle. And once you work the tie a little bit, it'll come loose. Okay. Now you're going to pop the loop on the bottom opposite that tie off. And then you're going to pull really gently. And you're actually going to use your finger or your hand to hold down the weaving while you do that. This is really important, keeps everything in place. Okay, for the next step, you're going to actually take off 2 of the loops. Pull gently. Again, see how I'm putting my finger on the weaving, moving slowly. And then the next few parts, you're going to alternate over, above, and then use your needle to pull. Again, working slowly, gently, holding the weaving down with your fingers. Okay. Now that we're reaching the middle, this part is really, really important, and it's what makes your weaving looks like a lip. Okay, so now we're going to pull so that dip is created. This part is really important. And then again, you're going to alternate pulling the top part of the frame, bottom part, using the needle. The warp yarn will get longer and longer, of course, but that's all right. Now you're going to untie, take off the tape, untie that last tie with the tip of the needle. And then you're going to pull through, and then we'll trim. Okay. All right, let's loop this out. Pull gently. Okay, again, hand on the weaving, pulling, pulling. Okay, set your loom aside. And then turn your weaving to the back. Trim about 4-inch, leaving about 4-inch tail. Set the excess warp aside. And now you're going to weave in the tail. Okay. Sometimes I actually like to turn it to the front and then loop it around. And then again, stitch the back into the back stitches. Trim the excess and then repeat for the other side. And then before I completely finish, I just go through, make sure everything looks good. If the tail is still loose, then I tuck that in. And then we also have a video actually on how to actually put a backing on. So I love this because it actually really firms up your weaving. And that's another video. Okay, how fun was that? So once you start making one, you won't be able to stop. I love making these. I actually have to experiment in different colors as well. Enjoy.